Welcome, Mr. Secretary. It's nice to see you again.
Thank you, Senator. Likewise.
I think you're a nice man, and I mean that. I am in awe of Ms. Jankowicz. I have watched her with slack-jawed astonishment. Who picked her?
Senator Kennedy, it's nice to see you as well. The Department of Homeland Security selected Ms. Jankowicz.
Who at the department picked her?
Senator, we don't discuss our internal hiring processes, but I am the Secretary of Homeland Security, and ultimately I am responsible.
When the department picked her, did it know that she had said that Mr. Hunter Biden's laptop is Russian disinformation?
Senator, let me repeat myself and add one other fact. I was not aware of that. We do not discuss the internal hiring process. Ultimately, as the Secretary, I'm responsible for the decisions of the Department of Homeland Security.
When the department picked Ms. Jankowicz, did it know that she had vouched for the veracity of the Steele dossier?
Senator, let me repeat myself and add an additional fact. One, we do not discuss internal hiring processes. Two, I was not aware of that fact. Three, as the Secretary of Homeland Security, I am responsible for the decisions of the department. And four, it is my understanding that Ms. Jankowicz is a subject matter expert in the field in which she will be working on behalf of the department.
Yeah, I can tell. When the department picked her, was the department aware of her TikTok videos?
Senator,
They're really quite precocious.
Senator, I was not aware of those videos. I, as a secretary, am responsible for the decisions of the department. The department does not discuss its internal hiring processes.
Well, how will this DGB work? For example, when President Obama said, with respect to Obamacare, when he said, if you like your doctor, you can keep your doctor, is that something that the DGB will investigate?
Senator, the working group that we named the Disinformation Governance Board does not have operational authority and does not have operational capability. But there's a more fundamental principle that really strikes at the question that you have posed, and that is that our mission is to protect the security of the homeland, and we address disinformation when it threatens the security of the homeland. For example,
okay, let me interrupt you, Mr. Secretary, because I don't have much time. I'd like to hear that example, and perhaps we can talk privately. I want to continue probing how your DGB will work. When President Clinton was being investigated for having an affair with a White House intern, and he said, I did not have sex with that woman, Ms. Lewinsky. Is that something the DGB would investigate?
Senator, again, let me be clear that the department's responsibility is to address disinformation that threatens the security of the homeland. And importantly, the working group was established because this disinformation work has been ongoing for nearly 10 years. The working group was established precisely to protect against the infringement on individuals' First Amendment rights, precisely to protect the right of privacy.
Can I ask you a couple of more before I run out of time? I think the chairman may let me go over a minute. I hope he does. Will the DGB be given its own police, its own enforcement powers?
Senator, as I have articulated, the working group does not have operational authority or capability. Its purpose is to make sure that the work that is underway in protecting the homeland, that has been executed for nearly 10 years, is done within guardrails according to policies and standards that ensure that that work does not infringe on people's fundamental First Amendment rights, right of privacy, civil rights, and civil liberties.
Right. Yeah, the government's going to tell us what's true. What could possibly go wrong?
Quite,
Can I ask one last question?
Of course, and that is quite incorrect. That is quite incorrect.
Is the DGB going to accept referrals from the public where people can call in and say, I think Senator so-and-so said something untrue, and I want you to subpoena him?
Senator, it is so very important that I correct a misstatement that you made, that the Department of Homeland Security is going to be the truth police. That is the farthest thing from the truth. We protect the security of the homeland, and once again, allow me to articulate what I have said previously, which is that the working group does not have operational capability and authority. It is to make sure that there are policies in place, standards in place to protect the very rights about which you inquire.
Mr. Chairman, this will be my last comment. Mr. Secretary, I meant what I said. It is nice to see you, and I do think you're a nice man. But I would call in as soon as you get back to the office, and I would ask that person who recommended Ms. Jankowicz to you, and I would fire him on the spot.
Senator Hyde-Smith.
Good morning, Senator.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Secretary, as you've mentioned, equipping our Border Patrol with the workforce tools and technology needed to secure our borders is vital to meet the growing crisis that we face on our southwest border. And I'm sure you're aware of the CBP's light enforcement helicopter fleet is critical to providing surveillance and supporting Border Patrol agents on the ground, disrupting unlawful activity. The fiscal year 2022 omnibus included nearly $10 million for light enforcement helicopters. These funds will purchase 2 rotary wing aircrafts to replace the existing rundown helicopters. Many of the helicopters in the current fleet are near the end of their life cycle. Mr. Secretary, this year's budget request includes $20.5 million to support CBP's light enforcement platform aircraft. Will this include a focus on rotary wing aircraft? And have you been able to ride on one of these helicopters just by chance? And if not, I would like to invite you to do that. But my question is, will this include a focus on rotary wing aircraft?
Senator, I do not know the answer to your precise question, and I apologize for that, and I will follow up. I will say that we are investing in aircraft. We are investing in technology that is an extraordinary force multiplier to achieve border security. And U.S. Customs and Border Protection's air and marine operations is an extraordinary force in achieving that security, and its personnel are remarkable in their dedication and talent. I'll look forward to following up on your precise question.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And like many of my colleagues, I've traveled to the southwest border and seen the work the Border Patrol agents do on a daily basis, an unbelievable task. We've heard statistics of border security operations under your leadership versus previous DHS secretaries. During the month of March, there were 220,000 encounters at the southwest border, 220,000. As Secretary of Homeland Security, would you consider the 220,000 migrant encounters in March a threat to the Homeland Security?
Senator, let me, if I can, articulate something. I'm not sure you heard me earlier this morning, that the number of encounters does not equal the number of unique individuals encountered at the border, because under Title 42, the CDC's Public Health Authority, individuals are expelled. They are not placed in immigration enforcement proceedings, And that expulsion and the fact that they haven't been in enforcement proceedings allows for a high level of recidivism. We have a responsibility to secure our borders.
So do you think those who were encountered is a threat to our homeland security?
Senator, allow me, if I may, that it is our responsibility to secure our border consistent with our laws, and that is precisely what we do. So if an individual is encountered at the border and makes a claim for asylum relief,
I understand that.
Under our laws, and their claim fails before an immigration judge,
I understand
then we
that, but the
remove
number
that
that were
individual.
encountered, do you think it is a threat to our homeland security?
I believe I have answered your question that we enforce the law that Congress has passed. And the law provides that individuals who are encountered who do not make a claim for relief
So you're
are
not
promptly
answering my
respond.
question, though.
I believe I am, if I may, Senator. And so those who do not make a claim for relief and do not have a basis to remain in the United States, or those who do make a claim for asylum and whose claim does not prevail before an immigration judge, are removed from the United States.
But the number of encounters, whatever that number is, the number of encounters, do you think that is a threat to our homeland security?
Senator, I believe that the U.S. Customs and Border Protection, the extraordinary 23,000 individuals on our border now and more coming through our intensifying efforts, ensure that there is not a threat at our border through their enforcement, their enforcement of immigration law that Congress has passed. That is what
you don't think it's a threat to the homeland security, is what you're saying.
Senator,
and at what point in your judgment does the growing number of encounters become a threat to our homeland security?